Hi, I am Maurine McFarlane, and I'm so glad you're here. There are many genres of music out there to listen to, but we at Cloud Records Music Podcast create music because we are inspired, and we want to inspire you. Inspire you to have a deeper experience of peace, love, hope, and connection to one's soul. Come along with me and experience the most beautiful and enjoyable music experience that will touch your soul. At the end of our conversation, we'll want Cloud Records LLC music as part of your music library. Welcome to Cloud Record Music Podcast 8th episode. For all the music lovers, you are in for a treat. I'm about to engage in a deep and intimate conversation with two of my favorite artists who are responsible for making and designing our album covers, taking the beautiful picture of our artists, Sharon Teachey from Claremont, Delaware, and Alex Dupree Jr. of Philadelphia. Alex Dupree is owner of J-Faz Graphics, where your business get noticed. Alex specializes in providing top-tier graphic solution to local small businesses on a freelance basis, from logo design, animation, digital illustration, business card, flyers. He is the designer Cloud Records used to create our logos, album cover, There Is a Time, and the music emanation for I Am Strong. In 2006, Sharon Teachey Photography began. Sharon specialized in wedding events and studio and on location portraits. Sharon is known to satisfy all her clients. She thoroughly enjoyed the glamour and excitement of wedding. She passionately refers to Promise of Love Day, where she captures every moment with quality and professionalism. Sharon stayed current in the latest state-of-the-art photography equipment to ensure the quality of our work. Sharon Teachey has been working with Cloud Records for the past 2 years, capturing our most memorable moments of artists in rehearsal, on and off location photo session, video recordings, and assisting in the design of There Is a Time album cover. Now, I'm excited for you to hear my captivating conversation with the amazing Alex Dupree and Sharon Teachey, who is joining us from Delaware and Philadelphia. At the end of our conversation, I hope Cloud Record Music will be part of your music selection. Good evening and welcome to Cloud Records Music Podcast. And my two very special guests is my very good friend, Sharon Teachey and Alex Dupree. And they are amazing artists. Sharon, of course, is a photographer, and Alex is a designer, a graphic designer. And so they have worked on our show, on our music, our album. And so tonight we're going to learn a lot about Sharon and Alex's work and their passion. So good evening, Alex, and good evening, Sharon.
Good evening, Maureen.
Good evening.
Okay. Great. So, Sharon, I'm going to start with you because our relationship began from a good friend, a mutual friend.
That's George Butler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So George Butler was my photographer for years. And when I was getting ready needed a photographer to take pictures of some artists, and he has then resigned. So he referred me to Sharon. And that's one of the best gifts Cloud Records could have had. She is talented, gifted, and passionate. And so, Sharon, let's begin with you. Tell us about Sharon Teachey Photography, and how did you get into that line of business?
How I got into photography, it starts when I was 9 years old with a camera that my mother bought for me, which was called Cookie Camera.
Are you serious?
And from there, yes. Yeah, it's called Cookie Camera, and they actually took pictures and had a Campbell soup can on the side, and I'd have to show you a picture of it one day. So it started there. So I always loved photography from that point on. And then when I wanted to go to school for it, we didn't have the money for me to go to school for photography. Okay. But I still always had a camera in hand, would always still take pictures. And as I got older, I would always have a little pocket camera. And this is even before digital. I would have a small film camera in my purse, and I called it my American Express card. Don't leave home without it, because I love that phrase on the American Express. I always had a camera in my pocketbook, always ready to take a picture of something. And as time went on, I would still take pictures, but not as passionately as I was earlier on. And then I got into computers and networking. I had to find a career, right? So I got into computers and networking, things like that. And from there, I would still take pictures. And then one day, someone asked me to take pictures of their wedding. I'm like, I'm not a wedding photographer. I can't do that. I don't have the camera. I don't have the equipment. And they're like, I don't have any money for a photographer. I said, okay, well, I'll do what I can. Just knowing I'm not a wedding photographer, I'll take your picture and I'll give them to you as a gift. From there, everything just blossomed. My passion was reunited, and I just put myself into it 200%, into learning the craft, getting into weddings. And I would do weddings, and I would tell people, okay, the more I do weddings, the more experience I get, the more I'm going to cost. In the beginning, it was like pro bono, it was free, it was a gift. So went on from there, and then I got a studio. I decided I wanted to do portraits as well. So I built a studio in my basement, and it's just everything blossomed from there. I love photography, and I tell a lot of people, I get paid to do something that I could do for free every day. I can do it every day. So getting paid for it is a bonus because I love it.
And I have to say that your passion really shows. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, she has a beautiful studio, and you must go on her website and check out her work. And I know she traveled within a certain distance, right, for clients.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And she's so precise and so excellent. It's really good. So Alex, let me talk to you for a minute. Tell us about your design company and how you even start out in that business.
Right. Let's see. I'm not sure where to even begin. There's so much to talk about. But basically, I was trained in the traditional style of art when I was younger. Paintbrush, pastels, pencils, ink, paint, all that stuff, which I can still do now. But because we live in this digital age, I'm not going to say that style has gone away, but it's basically fused in with the digital side of it. So I'm learning how to mesh the two together with the training that I've had as a traditional artist. Now I use it in the graphic area more now, which is fun. It's not just a job. It's a career, but it's fun.
Something you like.
And you can make money while you're doing it. I remember at the New Covenant when I was talking to some kids about this, I said, you know what? You can make money designing logos and drawing pictures. You can actually make money doing it,
How about that?
Yeah. And so the company is J Files Graphics. And for those who don't know, the J stands for Jesus.
Really? Okay.
And there's a big story behind how I got the name.
Well, Alex is actually, he and I attend the same church, and that's how I met Alex, because he does a lot of work for the New Covenant Church of Philadelphia, and I'm part of the health team ministry, and he does a lot of our work for the conferences. And when I needed somebody to do a logo, I reach out to him, and he's been doing work for me now for how long? Couple of years, right?
Couple of years.
Yeah.
And the company was actually founded back in 2010. And it's funny because I never had a computer of my own until 2010. Wow. So I bought my first laptop in 2010. And it's funny how that started, because as soon as I bought that laptop, things just boomed. I mean, things just happened. I can't even explain how it happened. It just did. And now I have all these laptops and I have all these tablets and backup. You got to have backup in your business. And my thing is this. I know you said don't leave home without it. That was my thing for the business cards. Don't leave home without them. Because you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to run into.
So Sharon, let me ask you this because you do a lot of portraits, you do weddings, you take a lot of still pictures. But have you ever worked with artists where you have to really come up with a different, picture taking like you did for Cloud Records artists, Garrick and Valerie?
Yes, I had to do some product photography where this candy company,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to make the candy look sweet and good and delicious where someone wants to buy it. So
Mm-hmm.
that was an interesting job. Done some work in airports for a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant, and I've done little things where I had this young lady who wanted to have this image of herself in the word queen, right? So there's an image in every word, and
Mm-hmm.
it's similar to a chess game. And getting creative with that, when somebody sends me their idea, this is what I want. I want to look like this. I want that. But what she was looking at was a painting, but now I had to create this in photography, and to take
Wow.
pictures of her and edit them and make the words. And it was really interesting. So yes, I do. I get an opportunity to do that. And it was really great working with Alex on that project on this time with
There
a
is a
time.
time. There is a time. Yeah. Yeah.
That was great, because we were working, the three of us, collaborating and finding the right image and the displaying of it and the colors and everything. That was great working with you, Alex, on that. And yeah, that was, yeah. So
Yeah,
I
and
Yeah.
every experience has its own set of challenges. I
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
get requests for things I've never done before, and I look at that as a new avenue because you never know how that might come in handy down the road.
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we were working on this particular album cover, we keep going back and forth, like we're trying to get all the colors right. And Sharon,
Yeah.
like, no, that's not the right one. And Alex, I just love you because you're so patient. We keep
That came
bringing
with time.
back
You know
things
what?
to you.
That came with time. That comes with time. And by nature, I am a laid back person. But you know what? When it comes to dealing with other people, it's like you have to learn as an artist, as creative people. You need to learn to act to be that way. You have to
Yeah.
be that way because it's a business, and you're dealing with different personalities. Everybody wants some know what they want, some may not know what they always want, and you have to
Right.
learn how to work with them and listen. Listening is key.
Yeah. Well, both
Now,
of you are exceptional because even when we were making the music, the recording, remember we were recording that night, Sharon? And
Yes.
we came all the way to Norristown to the recording studio to videotape. And it
Yeah.
was, I don't know, I think we were there till after midnight. You're so committed.
It went on. Yes. But
Yeah,
it was a wonderful experience.
yeah, it was a great experience. And by the way, Sharon, we have not yet put out the video for There's a Time, but Sharon will be working on it soon. And
Yes, I
you'll
will.
get to see another part of her skill. She's very talented, you know. Now, it's Alex, also, you do emanations because you created one for I Am Strong. I asked you to, did you see that, Sharon? He did this piece, an
Wow.
emanation. I have to show it to you. And we went back and forth with that. And that's what I love about Alex because he'll give you an idea. And if you don't like it or want to change it, he's willing. And he doesn't overcharge or
mm-hmm,
overprice.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know something?
Yeah.
I had to admit, out of all the things I've done, one of the few things I'm really passionate about and love is cartooning because I'm a
Mm.
cartoonist. But when it comes to art, I'm a cartoonist. I've learned to
Mm.
accept that I'm a cartoonist by nature as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
But I love animation. I've loved it since I
Wow.
was 10 years old. I used to watch cartoons on Saturdays, and I would learn how to. I would watch how animators do their process. I would draw inside of books using
Wow,
flip
really?
pages when I was younger. I would
Mm-hmm.
take, and I thought I would never learn how to do it until, again, 2010, when I got that laptop, came across a website that had a large community of animators, young animators, and I joined them. And I basically taught myself how to animate. And
Yeah.
I'm basically self-taught in that field. I would picture myself going to Disney or picture myself going to any other major studios to learn that craft. But money. You may not always have you may not always have the means to go to California or Florida, whatever it is.
Right.
And a lot of times, and thank goodness that we have this social media that you can take advantage of. And a lot of this stuff is free. In a space of 2 years, I learned the basics of animation, and I love it. I enjoy it. And working on that piece, the I Am Strong piece, that was the most ambitious piece I've ever worked on in terms of animating.
Oh, you did pretty good.
And it's only when it comes to anime, it's like making a movie.
Yes,
it's just like you're not using actors, you're using drawings. All that work that went into a 3 or 4 minute piece was worth it.
And it did take months to complete.
Well, I'll tell you something. When it comes to making an animated movie today, it takes 4 years.
You mean a really, really good one, like a Walt Disney animation?
If I worked at Pixar, one movie takes 4 years to create, because you got to look at the budgeting and the drawings and the editing and the music and the sound.
Yeah,
and all that.
And we were on the lower side. Yeah, it was really good though, and it did take a moment. Sharon, when I remember. When I'm thinking of you and the pictures you were taking with the artists, I remember with Valerie, or you had her running in the field. And I thought that was so creative. You remember when you have her run in the field and doing the...
oh, yes. Now I do recall. I'm like, almost forgot. But no, I remember, yeah. The vision that I had was the movie, not the movie, but it was from a commercial. And it was Wheat Thins. And I forget, it might have been Sandy Duncan or something. I'm not good with artists, but she was eating crackers and she's like, one right after the other. And that's all I could think about is her running through the field. And I think that commercial comes from Sound of Music or something, where a girl's in the field.
I remember that. I think I remember that.
Right.
That's the vision that I had of her doing.
It was great though, and she's so imaginative, because she always look and think of the places that will bring out the best in the pictures, right? Like the location, like we went to that particular area where it was these beautiful stone walls, and then there was a garden, right? They took some of the pictures in, and there was the water looking over Philadelphia. I mean, yeah, I forgot the area, but it was just so. Yeah, the diversity and the beauty and your imaginative way of doing these pictures. This is why your work is so top.
You remember where I wanted to go? Remember Hawk Mountain?
Yes, that's right.
Like a 2-hour drive away.
Yeah, and that is her. She's just outstanding. What are like the most? I know with your great work you do, you guys must have faced some challenges in terms of either customer or even be creative enough to deliver some impossibility of what people may want. How do you handle that, Sharon? I'll start with you first.
I think my biggest challenge is time. My biggest challenge is time. Where I don't have the bandwidth to do everything I want to do. I want to do it all. That's the problem. And I want to do so much with images, video, everything. My challenge is not people or anything. It's time. And I want to say I don't manage my time well, but that's not true. I'm wearing too many hats, right? I wear too many hats and don't have the bandwidth to dedicate to the things I want to do, because there's too many things that I want to do. I want to do it all. I just want to capture it all. Every second, every moment is once in a lifetime. It's a fingerprint. That moment, just that moment that just passed by, we can never get that. Okay? How someone looks, how the lighting or anything, it's once in a lifetime. So I always want to capture every moment, and it's just impossible.
Yeah, you're so right, because you just give me a light bulb moment right now, because there's certain things I'm challenged with, and I always thinking I'm not managing it well, right? And now you just show me something. It just came to me. It's like, no, you are, but you know what? You just don't have enough of what you need. You have too many things you're trying to do with this small thing. And when you can't accomplish it, it looks like you don't know how to manage it. So what I need to do better is maybe say no to certain things or delay certain things instead of trying to do 10 things with this much
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. You just gave me something. How about you, Alex?
I would have to agree with Sharon. It has to be time. Because I remember when a friend of mine gave me a suggestion some time ago about creating a production timeline, like a spreadsheet, and you can list all the jobs you have and the dates and where you are in those time frames, so you can actually see where you are. The second biggest one is budgeting. When it comes to certain project budgeting, but you know what? God has always come through in that. I mean, when it seems like, okay, I need a budget for this, no matter what, there was always a ram in the bush. Always.
Amen.
I've never
Stand in
gotten
my way, will you?
I've never gotten I've never gotten failed. I've never gotten failed in that area. So yeah, I would have to agree with Sharon. Timing is important thing, because some people want certain things at certain times, whereas others they have a lot of time to put aside for a job to be completed.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in that crunch, you ask yourself a million questions. How am I going to get this? Where is this coming from? How am I going to get this done in time? And they had to constantly communicate with the client, saying, well, this is where I am now. Can you give me a little more time with this so I can fix this? Because I want it to look the way you want it to look.
Right, good. But I'm curious, where did the J, you said it means Jesus. How did the name come about?
This is way back when I was living in West Philly. I was a big X-Files fan. And I like, I admit it. So I'm sitting there, and I was still struggling as a creator, not knowing where to go. So I'm sitting there watching the program, into it, and I think, wait a minute. What if I took that X and put a J where the X is? So I created, and here's the thing. I'm also a comic book artist. What I decided to do at that time was to create a comic book series called the J Files, which had a man and a woman, like in the X-Files, but instead of solving mysteries on a spiritual level, as opposed to the paranormal, which makes it more relatable to us, in our community.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. I had a few issues out. It didn't do very well, but little did I know that laid the groundwork for what I have now. So what I did, I took that brand and transferred it from the comic book to a full-blown graphics company, where it would include books and animation and logos and all the other things involved. So that's where that started. The Bible says small beginnings. Don't despise those small beginnings.
Right.
Because you think you think you know where you're going with an idea, but then years down the road you see where that idea has led you, and it's true. I had no idea it would blow up like this. It would become all this.
What it is. Amen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's where it started.
Right. This is a question for people. Both people have been in business, and I'm finding some challenges about entering into a new business. It's going to be the third year. And they said you don't see any return on your business for like 5 years. What were the most challenging for you when you started photography before you start seeing like a profit? Because, I'm trying to keep myself encouraged because the music business is so hard, right? I understand that I don't have anyone opening doors for me. So I have to carve my own door. And that's a process and taking a long time. And obviously financially becomes challenge, right? Plus I've made some misstep as well. When you're new to a business, you bring people in, they overcharge you because they say they can get you here and then it doesn't work. Right. So how did you start with you, Sharon? Do you handle when you started, and how long did it take you? Maybe it's different for music than in photography before you actually see some kind of return on your investment.
So getting a return on investment is definitely hard when you have to put out money for equipment, and you know that, and you have to put out money for services. So I'm going to say it probably took maybe a good 3-4 years, actually, before I saw a profit. And, you have to reinvest in yourself. Exactly. So any money you make, right, I was doing a lot of research, a lot of reading. a lot of learning, a lot of purchasing hardware. And some of the mistakes I made was purchasing hardware that I didn't need, equipment that I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't need. If I'd have done a little bit more research, maybe I wouldn't have purchased this particular lighting and I had to turn around and buy a different light because I've purchased this light and I've had it too long to return it, but I should have got a different light. So
Mm-hmm.
it's things like that, little things like that. And then it's just more researching, learning, research and learning is what I had to do. What I needed, I had to go and find it, find the people that I need to do it. Like with a web page, getting
Mm-hmm.
that and getting a place to display my pictures in a portal, and then advertising and all of these things. Just trying to make it work. So it was definitely a learning curve and a lot of research, a lot of reaching out to people, asking, how do you do this? And just like you said, I had one of the greatest people around that I could ever have, and that was George Butler, to help me through the things that he had already been through. Okay, he had
Mm-hmm.
already paved the way. So he was one of the greatest people in my life. I'm telling you, when it came to photography, if it wasn't for him, I would be in a different space.
Wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
I just love everything that he did and all the help that I got from him. And meeting him was by chance, and it was just amazing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
having the right people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And research and learning and to apply it to what you want to do and what you need to do.
Wow. How about you, Alex?
It may have taken a little longer than the 5 year span that they always talk about, because you think you know what you're doing when you're first starting out, but then you notice that you don't know everything that there is. Like I purchased all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and now clients came by word of mouth, not by advertising.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. My success in terms of clientele is all word of mouth. I think for me, the success, the return on that is very gradual, and even now it's very gradual.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm noticing as the years go by, the clientele is still growing. I just wish the revenue was there
Mm-hmm.
still, but the clientele is growing. So with that growing clientele, there's always a possibility for growth in revenue. But there's always that one job that will catapult you, financially. And that's the one thing that's going to happen. And it's going to happen to all of us if we're diligent enough and we're if we keep our shoulders to the wheel and don't look back and
Mm-hmm.
stay consistent. That one job is going to come by, and I've seen it in every business. Did you ever see the founder? About
No.
the story of Ray Kroc, McDonald's. Now
No.
okay. Long story short, he was a straight up businessman. Granted, he was kind of shrewd in his dealings. But the one thing about him that I've noticed, that he was very consistent. It wasn't about how much he knew. It wasn't about how much skill he had, but it was consistent and never giving up. And everything that came afterward was all based on his consistency. I'm happy where I am now because I know that I only got one place to go, and that's up when it comes
Right.
to
Yeah. Yes.
success
Yes.
in business. But I
Yes.
think the key, and I think this goes for all of us, the key to this is consistency and
Right.
persistence.
And persistency. Yeah.
Persistence. Yeah.
Right.
And everything
Right.
else will come. Everything else will come.
And it's good to have people in your life to encourage you too, because remember those moments when I get a lot of encouragement from Sharon. I'm feeling down, like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this anymore. This is draining me. But you're right. If you do quality work, consistent to do quality work, for those who are trying to enter into this business like I am, and you're putting out a lot of money, you don't get in a return. There's sometimes you just have to pause, which I had to do because I realized I was depleting myself, and for that I was getting frustrated, right? And I noticed when you're frustrated, you make worse decisions. Somebody else will come and say, "Hey, if you do this, I can do this," and then you make the sacrifice, and turn out they couldn't do it either. So you're right, Sharon. The research is necessary, and even though it's a different business, it's still, you have to be diligent. You have to do your homework, and yes, you're going to make a mistake. You just have to get over it and keep if you really believe in what you're doing. So yeah, you guys are just such a great example of that. I'm so fortunate.
I'm finding out. I'm finding out something too that, believe it or not, folks are noticing what you do. You may not always realize this, but folks are looking at you. They're seeing what you do, and when those jobs come, it's because of what they've seen and what others have seen us do, and that word gets around, and that's how those jobs come.
Yeah.
So it's not always. That's why we can't always rely on what we're doing in terms of marketing ourselves. I mean, it's good to do that, but from my experience, it's this. You know,
talking, right?
If they say, "Did you see what she did? You should get with her. I think she can help you with this," and that's how it happens.
Right.
That's how it happens.
Well, hopefully, somebody is discovered this podcast, and maybe Tyler Perry, and hear about you, and decide to give you a call and say, well, let's give these people a chance because, they're excellent. Yes, these people, Delaware, Philadelphia, they're the bomb. So if you're, make sure you pass their name around. In fact, Sharon, why don't you share with the audience how they can reach you if they want to have a wedding or come in your studio, do still pictures, or help with creating an album cover, video. I mean, she's one person, but if she get the right job with the right money, that could be our full-time gig.
Absolutely. So I can be reached at Sharon Teachey, SharonTeachey.com, and it's SharonTeachey.com, or I can be reached. My telephone number is area code 610-551-0898. Again, that number is 610-551-0898.
And for the right price, I'm sure you'll travel anywhere to do a wedding or something fabulous, right? You hear that, folks? You make sure you give that call. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, and because I work mainly online and through social media, you can reach me at I just recently launched my new my revamped website, www.jfgphilly.com. And my email address is jfilesgraphics@gmail.com. And those are my two primary contact sources.
And make sure you reach out. You'll be so happy with them. They're just awesome people to work with. And our next project is actually something that we started to think about a couple months ago, but we're thinking of creating it's a jazz and reggae fusion song. And we're looking for some kind of African theme. We haven't really pursued it yet because, again, like I said, it's one of those things you have to pause on. But coming in towards the end of the year, we'll move forward with that. So I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with. I know Sharon, her mind just worked like to come up with some creative thing. Yeah. I know, but send it to Alex and then sending it back. I'm like, oh, this is going to be frustrated. But you know what? He's such a patient dude. He's awesome to work with. And I just want to say thank you guys for being such good partner with Cloud Records. And you make our artists look good in the pictures and the album cover look fabulous. And we just so enjoy working with you. And hopefully God will allow us to do this for a very, very long time. And I hope you get even a lot more attention from this podcast. And for the audience, we just want to know, remember to subscribe to Cloud Record Music Podcast, like us, and do share us. We do want to grow. And so I just want to thank you both for taking time up and, indulge us here tonight.
It was my pleasure. And Maurine, it's absolutely a pleasure working with you. It's a real joy, and it's easy to do. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. It's always fun.
All right, that's right. Well, good night, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Good night. Take care, everyone.
Take care.